Good morning. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna be typing in my YouTube page that I frequently upload videos onto. I usually wait for two people to get into the live. This camera quality, my God, it's so bad. I usually wait for like two people to come to the live, but I'm just gonna go ahead and start recording right now because I just want to get this message off of my chest before I forget, before I start with my day. Apologize for my hair. It's not even about being cute. It never has, so it is what it is. I want to talk about, my video today is about consistent patterns of behavior across the board. So this is to do with things that I have noticed in my time, not just through personal experience, but also just like across the board. So I'll probably end up repeating stories that I've told before, just to kind of, I guess, tie things in. So today I'm going to talk about relationships, patterns in relationships that people have. I don't know how to get this to be consistent. The quality, my God. This phone is really not built for this. Anyway, patterns in relationships. So this is what I see always happens. Somebody's dating a guy. He's involved in this lifestyle. I always say, we're not talking about, I don't know about guys who do whatever on the street. I've never dated one, never had, it's not my thing. But I'm talking about people who travel, with drug mules. They have a tendency to look extremely normal. They have a tendency to look attractive. I'm going to talk, obviously, I'm a woman, I'm going to talk from a female perspective. They have a tendency to look attractive. They look like men who have jobs, and or businesses. They are fairly consistent, and they're very receptive. At least from what I've seen, they look receptive to love, to having something real. I'm gonna retell a story that I've told in other videos. I'm gonna tell it again to kind of describe what I mean by that. So there was a point where, when I was looking for a renovator to do a small job for me at Oakville Place, which is really crazy because with Oakville Place, and it's not just with Oakville Place Mall, but in general, it's like if you're looking for very small jobs, it's so much more difficult to find people to do it rather than if you have a big job, because everybody wants big jobs. So at first, I solicit this guy, this African guy. I'm looking for quotes from everyone, and they're making the process difficult. Even the guy who just has to like approve my paperwork at the company is like being ridiculous for everything. It's like, no, I need all this paperwork just for you to paint. I need all of this. I need all of that. So I have to actually go over his head to management just to get things approved. The job I need is very simple. I just need the front wall painted and a sign put on the wall. That is it. And an indoor sign. Nothing crazy. This shouldn't even cost $5,000, in my opinion. This should be like $1,400, something like, and even that I think is crazy, like to paint a small wall. So these guys are quoting me, blah, blah, blah. So this guy gets my stuff and he reads it and he responds back and he says, I can do the job for you. But the only thing is my liability insurance doesn't go up to 5 million. It only goes up to 3. And if you can handle that, or if that's okay, then I can do the job. So I saw his quote and the quote still was too high, but I was getting close to the point and I really liked I thought you unfollowed me, Brazil. Hi, Brazil. Welcome to the chat, Brazil. Hang in there. Anyway, um, he gives me the quote, and I'm getting close to my deadline, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to talk to this guy because I need to keep up with my deadline. My deadline was maybe September. Anyway, so I call, and I'm getting really close to the deadline. So I call him, and he says, and at first when I called him on the phone, that first phone call was very dismissive. So it was just like, and it wasn't dismissive in like a I know you or I was told to be dismissive. It was just like, I don't know. It's like how like mechanics or like construction people or like renovations people, like how they behave. They're not, typically these guys are not like warm and fuzzy with people. Like it's just like, yeah, this is my quote. Yep, It's like, I'm getting rid of this job. Like this is too small of a job anyway. I'm going to overprice just to, if you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. Bye. So I'm like, okay, no problem. Whatever the case is. So we're going from there. Second phone call I made with him, I must have asked him a couple questions and it was fine. And then I guess he emailed me. And then with John Ferrer going through my emails at the time, he must have said, oh, let me get this guy to contact her to make this offer that I was supposed to make that I didn't make. Or I haven't been able to make, I should say. So the second phone call that I make with this guy, I'm talking to him and all of a sudden he's super friendly. It's like, oh, can I please see a picture of you? Let's go on a date. But the date is very specific. Like, I want to take you to this place. And it was like, what was the place he offered? I can't even remember. But it's supposed to be like a place, I guess, that's supposed to be fancy that people are supposed to want to go to. I guess. But in my mind, I'm like, I can't remember what it was. What's the name of that steakhouse downtown in Yorkville that everybody wants to go and they want to take pictures down there? Anyway, that if you can visualize that place, that's where it was. And I was like, no. And then he's like, okay, fine. Where do you want to go? Wendy's? Now, didn't say McDonald's, didn't say Burger King. He said Wendy's specifically. So Wendy's is a place I go. I think Wendy's is top tier takeout. Like, in my opinion, I think they have real food. And it's a place where they frequently would follow me and like sit in the parking lot while I went through the drive-through. So they obviously knew. And at that time, I didn't know my phone, like how bad it was that they could listen through the cell phone. So when he says Wendy's, that's the first thing that like makes my antennas go up. Like, okay, so this is a very targeted conversation. So he's trying to convince me of, well, I want to take you on vacation with me. This is the first conversation. I don't even know this guy. I want to take you on vacation with me, but I go to Mexico City. And I go about every 6 weeks. Really? What are you? I'm African. Oh, I'm half African and Jamaican, I think he said. I'm like, oh, so who do you know in Mexico City? Oh, I just have friends over there. Oh, okay. Do you speak Spanish? No. Not even a little bit? No Spanish. Oh, okay. I was like, well, all right. So then we got into the conversation about dating, and I don't know why. Like, honestly, sometimes I just let people run with whatever it is that they're doing. And I do think, anyways, that's not important. So we get into a conversation and we're talking about dating and relationships. And so then he kind of gets into it a little bit. And he's telling me about relationships that he's had in the past. And I loved this girl before, and then it didn't work out. But he doesn't say why it doesn't work out. He said it didn't work out for whatever reason. And then I loved this other girl. I was dating her, and it didn't work out for whatever reason. And then it's the same thing that happens every single time where the mask slips off. The mask slips off their face. Where it goes from, I'm trying to convince you of something. I'm trying to make you see things my way. I'm trying to date you. I'm trying to get you to travel with me. First conversation. We're supposed to be talking about a quote for work to be done. This is not working, obviously. So, and then I ask him, and then after a while, it's like him talking about, well, he dated this person, he did that person. And then he says, but it never seems to work out anyways, though. So it's whatever. And he's so convinced in the course of the conversation, he's so convinced that relationships just do not work. So there's no point to having relationships. There's no point to dating because it's not going to work anyway. And now I'm getting interested, like, why is it not working? Is it something you did? No. And I believe him. I believe it's nothing that he did. Is it something that, like, did you cheat? No, I loved her. Did you not provide? Did you not do something for her? No. So then why didn't it work? He doesn't know. He's confused. He's confused as to why it didn't work. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, I've heard this story multiple times before. In passing, I've heard this story multiple times before. So I said to him, well, it kind of sounds like you've given up on love. And he's like, well, and it's like, he wanted to deny this. His natural instinct was he wanted to deny it, like it didn't matter to have love or not. And he's like, well, yeah, I guess you could say that. And I was like, yeah, it sounds like you've given up. And so I said, is there like a reason that you could put your finger that things haven't worked out? And he's like, honestly, I don't know, but it's like it just never works out for me. And I said, okay. And then I said, well, and so we had that whole conversation about the whole love thing. And he was trying to convince me that all women care about is money. And I was like, not at all, actually. If a woman really cares about you, that actually doesn't matter. Women get clowned all the time for dating men who don't have any money, who don't have anything to offer, who they had to do stuff for, who they had to take care of, who they genuinely loved. Women get clowned for doing that all the time. But it's like, if somebody loves you, they're going to do that stuff regardless. Regardless of even if there's a voice in the back of their head, it's like, you're being kind of dumb. Like, this is not going to end well for you. But it is what it is. So we had the love conversation, the relationship kind of conversation first. And it always works like this, where it's like, somebody's trying to convince me of something. And then it's almost like I said, the mask slips off. Whether they send you as a recruiter, as a handler, as a whatever, there's a part of me that thinks people are so soulless to be gang stalkers, and they're so heartless, and they're so inhuman to agree to do this kind of stuff. And there's the other side of me that is like, well, wow, look at the kind of adversity that's put in their face. Look at the kind of hostility that they would face if they said no. It's hard for me not to see the humanity in that situation. And so that's why sometimes I tend to have a conversation longer, because I know that the whole hyena laugh and the whole ha 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 and the whole jeering, it's just a mask. And when you get beyond that mask, it's incredibly sad. It's incredibly painful, and it's terrified people, and they're just doing the best that they can to survive. Even if that means doing awful things, even if that means agreeing to put somebody through the same thing that they've been put through, essentially, or the thing that they've heard somebody being put through, even if they didn't experience it themselves. Like, who would want to go through that? So after the fact, we have the conversation about the quote, the going to Mexico City. And I'm like, well, and this is how I ended the conversation. He was like, well, I go so he's telling me he goes every 6 weeks. He likes to travel, but it's always those kind of locations. He's telling me how the women in those locations are real women. They know how to take care of a man. They cook for a man, this, that, and the third. Listen, that is the equivalent of saying that, like, a man in one of those countries are real men. And then everybody's looking at you like, green card, maybe like papers, trying to leave the country. Like when someone is motivated, when someone needs money, they come off as an amazing person, of course, but the real heart of that culture, like culturally, it's about money over everything. Like that's just a cultural thing. So it's like to listen to him say that, I'm like, this is somebody who is love starved. They know it. If they're really honest with themselves, they know that they essentially now can look at their life and say, I have a source of income that's stable enough. I have things, I can buy things, I can provide, I can be a provider. I am a loving person. I can take care of a woman. I want to take care of a woman. I want to have a family. I want to have a family the right way. It's not like I just want to have kids all over the place. I have everything, but who am I sharing it with? Who am I? What am I building exactly? And it's not uncommon to find people like that in situations where, you know, they have money, but they don't have much else. They can save it, but it's like they're not even sure what to do with it, like what to put it towards. So it kind of always just looks like, to me, it's like imagine seeing someone living in like a weird situation, but finding out that this person actually does have a good savings, does have money, does make decent money, but it's just like, what are they spending it? All they do is work. They just work to fill up their time. And I realize that all of this is a system, and it's that way for a reason. I'll give another story. So back in the day, and I didn't realize this back in the day when it was happening. Back in the day, I knew this guy, and actually I would call him like, I was really close friends with his girlfriend, like so close that I would have called her my cousin. Like I would consider them family in a way. And I remember he got into truck driving. And then he started making decent money, and he was like bragging. He was telling all of us, he's like, listen, if you cross the border, like, those long hauls, they're long, they're exhausting, but that's where the money is, etc., etc. And he was really excited. And then very shortly after he started that, the relationship ended. Obviously there's strain in the relationship from not being home, but that shouldn't be enough. It was just like they started fighting, and I could see it on her that they were having issues. And it was like, it came to the point where all they had was money. All they had was just extra income. So she would do things to occupy her time. Like she would have parties. She would provide the liquor. It wasn't even like bring your own bottle. It was like she just had access, But it's like, you could be at home and you could do your hair all you want. You could do your nails. You could go spend money. There's only so much of that you can do when your relationship is falling apart. And eventually that relationship fell apart shortly after he started doing that. And then I can remember there was a period after where him and I kind of bumped into each other and we were talking. And I remember he didn't go into detail, but he was very scared after a certain period of time, and it was almost like he was running from something, but it was like, I guess it was persistent. Honestly, looking on it back now, I realized he was being recruited and he was being gang stalked. Only after my personal experience, I realized he was being recruited and he was being gang stalked. He was very scared, and this is a man. He was very scared. He was terrified. I don't know what happened. Obviously, in these situations, people tend to keep it to themselves. They're terrified. And it's an out of body experience. And I guess they get to the point where they feel like, you can't trust anyone, because you really can't. Looking at just those two situations, and, there was another story I wanted to tell. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But one thing is consistent. Oh, don't talk about the realtors, the little shady realtors that come to you. These realtors start, and I sit and I talk to them. There was one realtor that came to me, and she was very guarded, like emotionally guarded. She was very Like she was speaking like a robot. And I sat and I listened to her, and we're supposed to be talking about real estate. And I said to her, you know, you have such a lovely personality if you would just open up a bit. And she relaxed immediately and she was like, you know what? She's like, you are right. She's like, I am like that. And I know I'm like that. Um, she never said why she's like that, although I obviously can guess why. And she was like, sure. And you know, she just kind of put her guards down, and it was almost like, you know, I know that what it feels like in this situation is being in defense mode constantly and constantly studying people and looking for signs on everyone. Are they fake? Are they a normal person? Who can I trust? It's so exhausting. You're constantly just running off of intuition every day. And I've seen it in other people. I've seen it where they sit there and they analyze you. And I saw it off of my ex, where people walk into a room and they're very slow and they look all around them and they're pensive, and you're constantly on alert and you're working all the time. They always have you in a state of constantly working, too busy, too tired, annoyed at life, can't trust anyone, used to transactional relationships, all of this. It's a difficult way to live. It's a very high stress way to live all the time. And knowing that you're in a situation where you're binded, so if you step 1 foot out of line, here comes the hammer again. Here comes the anxiety, a very anxious situation that's going to push your limits, and it's going to be so persistent. That is because the people that are doing it are not all the way there. They're not okay. John Ferreira, the chief handler, which he takes a lot of pride in that, is not all the way there. When he hears no, when he is rejected, it triggers something in him that the more you refuse, the crazier he gets, the more out of control he gets. So people like to keep him happy, docile, and complacent because he will keep going and he wants to teach you a lesson. So, for a long time, it has been terrifying under the reign of the lunatic John Ferreira. It's been difficult for people. And so every time I get upset, now, God has told me to manage my anger and to look at things from, always challenging me to look at things from a higher perspective. There is a higher perspective here. I can't just look at it from face value of like, oh, someone's done this and oh, someone's done that to me. Kind of looking at their motivation, looking at their perspective, looking at their life. And it's difficult. It is difficult after the year that I have been through. It is tough to always see that. I have not even told you guys about the spiritual side of the shit that I've gone through, that I've had to go through. I've just told you guys about being followed. And anybody who's had a little bit of the hammer understands what I'm talking about. All right? Anyway, I say all that to say, to come back to this. People will pretend that, and I'm talking about the powers that be, okay? The ones that are pulling the puppet strings, or at least close to the people pulling the puppet strings. You know, a lot of spiritual knowledge has remained in the hands of people who have kept it tightly controlled, who've kept secrets to themselves close to their chest, who haven't told people things. And then they've turned around and they've used that knowledge to their advantage to enslave people and to control people. They know very well what the scales are. They know how it works. They know what frequency fear is on. They know what frequency shame is on. They know what frequency love is on. And they know that love is the highest. They know that. This is the reason why it is very important that people in this lifestyle do not find love. So, I've explained this already from a spiritual standpoint. Spiritually, someone spiritually marries you to themselves or to their organization. Spiritually, they bind you to them, and then they control you. You get into the puppet energy. Even without gang stalking you, even without fear, you're under illusions constantly. They are manipulating your life experience. Everything is manipulated through centers of influence. That's how human beings work. We like to belong. We like to belong to groups. We like to belong to organizations. We like to belong to churches. We like to belong. The more money and power and status associated with it, the better for us. Everything is a status symbol, which then makes us look more valuable in the eyes of others. Therefore, through centers of influence, we are controlled. The same way, do you not think it odd that people don't look at you like a human being when they're gang stalking you? They look at you like a means to an end. You're not a person, you're a new car. You're not a person, you're a house. I told you, when I saw my neighbor looking at the other neighbor's car, he looked like a little boy. He looked like a little boy that had a toy, that saw a toy that he wanted. His face was so innocent when he was looking at that car. And then he turned around and he bought his son not long after. I want to say was it a little Lamborghini car, toy car, a little Ferrari toy car? I don't know. But he bought his son one of those. And then I was joking with his wife. I'm like, don't let him get one. Don't let him get one. And I said to him, you're not allowed to have one. And we were joking about it. But it's like clearly, like you can see he wants this car. And to me, I just knew if it came down to closing his eyes to me and what me and my family go through and just not thinking about it and getting that car, they were ferocious. They were hungry. They were hungry. Everybody that did this. Being able to trade at that level, to be able to sell one big house and buy a bigger house and be looked at the person who has the Lamborghini in their driveway and the Ferraris and, you know, the girls that look like this. And why would they not in their mind? And this is a fast track. This is proven. So now instead of looking at, I don't know what they pay. I'm not a recruiter, but let's say every recruiter makes per client, they're making, I don't know, $700,000 a year. Your brain's going to very quickly go, well, if I get 10 clients a year, that's 7 million. Look at this other guy I know. He's doing all of this stuff. Look at his Instagram. He has pictures with Drake. He has this. He has that. Why would I not want to be that person where money's nothing? But at what cost? At what cost? I see these people, and you can recognize them online now very easily. He has the ghost phantom. He has the mansion. He's a single dad of 3 boys. There's no mother here. What happened? Or the mothers of the 3 boys, each one has a different mother. They're all like working girls who are not fit to take care of kids. Their lifestyle is this, they're this and that. It's like, where is the family structure? Where is the building? Where is the thing that's solid? Because a real woman, and I don't mind how anybody takes this if anybody's offended by this, but this is the truth, okay? A woman who truly loves a man is not going to agree to that type of lifestyle because it's unsustainable. I'm not saying a woman who likes that type of lifestyle and who wants to buy Birkins and who wants to get on private jets by any means necessary. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a woman who truly loves a man and wants the best for her family will see this as unsustainable over time because of the inherent risk. Okay? Now, I can see why sometimes people think they're invincible, but nobody is invincible. It doesn't matter who you're working for. You're not invincible in this situation because people get caught up every single day. Do you know what I read on a comment section? So there was an old lady who got caught, a Latino lady who got caught. I can't remember how much. I think it was with 25 million worth of drugs at the airport, under a wheelchair or in a wheelchair, in the wheels of the wheelchair or whatever. And somebody in the comments, and for sure she's gonna go to jail for a very long time, obviously. And somebody in the wheelchair, and somebody in the comment section goes, oh, she's definitely not making it 3 months in jail, type of thing. Like, alluding to the fact that she's not going to be alive very long. It's almost like punishment for getting caught. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not an invincible situation. It's not a situation where you cannot get caught. Obviously, there's risk there. Then I read another story online where this guy was traveling to, I think, England, and I think he had maybe $500,000 or 5 million or something, and he agreed to do this for like $5,000 in exchange for 5K. And I'm thinking to and he got caught, and obviously he's telling them everything. He's scared now, etc., etc. And I'm thinking to myself, imagine throwing away your life for $5,000. Like, imagine that. And you know, the first time I really heard and I really got a clue into like what this thing was this girl built a fashion business after she came out of jail, and she was telling the story about how this guy came around her. This guy was very suave. She met him on a dating site. Again, I keep telling people about these dating sites, be safe. She met him on a dating site. He came around. He's very suave and clean cut, but he only wanted to be her friend. He would help her. He walked her dog for her. He did this for her. He did that for her. And he was there for her at a time where she was drinking a lot. So she was having suicidal thoughts at one point, and he was there for her, etc. And one time he said, you know what, things are really bad. So watch the flow of events. She's having the suicidal thoughts. He steps in. He says, you need a vacation. You need a break. They go on vacation together. They're having fun. So let's say, I can't remember the exact story. I can find the article, but let's say they're on vacation for 3 days. And then they're having fun. And then on the 4th day, he's like, listen, this is not just about fun. We have work to do. Oddly enough, they went to St. Lucia, which is where I'm from. He's like, we have work to do. And he took her to some random place, and she was confused. He took her to some random place, and they said to her that she saw all the drugs or whatever. And he's like, don't worry, you're not gonna have to do anything, it's just for me. But then when he got to the airport, he's like, something's wrong, you're gonna have to do it. And he gave it to her, but she was too scared. And so she got to the airport. They figured it out. They saw her face, or they figured it out somehow, and they asked her if she had it. And she was like, they asked her some questions, she said, and then based on the questions, they pulled her in the back and they're like, do you have anything on you? You might as well just be honest with us. It's going to be better for you. And she was honest. And so she gets caught. And she said, regardless of the fact that she was honest, she still had to go to jail. And so she served her time, and then she came out, and then now she had to build a new brand, but she was honest about her journey. And so I sat there, and it made perfect sense. So he was her handler. He was the one who got artificially close to her. He was the one who helped build a network around her. He was the one who found her in a vulnerable situation, etc., 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 etc. It comes down, and this is on her first time that this happened. And so for me, I constantly look at the situation, and it's like, listen, no one is going to come and tell people like, this is what you're getting into. They kind of just surround you and they seal you in that situation. You're making agreements with them. You're getting binded into it. The contract is binding. You can't get out of it. And they don't want you to have love or real friendships. Any genuine friendships, they're going to beat away from you. Anyone who's genuinely kind to you, who supports you, they're going to bully those people out of your life. Because anything that puts you in a calm situation, including the meditation, including taking these calming baths, including just any of the above, is not something that they want around you. They want you in a constant state of anxiety, a constant state of worry, a constant state of wondering why you can't keep anybody in your life. But in the meantime, in between time, it's not that you can't keep anybody in your life. It's that the person you're dating is being gang stalked and forced out of your life. And then after they're done gang stalking that person, they turn around and they recruit that person. And at first I wasn't sure why. Why do they need to recruit the girl after the girl's dated you? Maybe they're worried that you've told the girl stuff, that you guys have been pillow talking, that maybe you've exposed something. I don't know what it is, but I know consistently that girls who date these guys always end up in the same lifestyle. They always do. And nobody gets love. They always want to ensure whoever you're dating is somebody that's on the same crap that they're on. Whoever you're dating is always going to be somebody who is going to be a gaslighter, is not going to treat you well, is not going to take care of you. It's always transactional relationships. It's always going to be another damaged person or some other type of handler type of situation. And it's like, for me, I can like look at like celebrity situations and I can kind of like see through it too. I can see through celebrity relationships where it's like handlers. They just have handlers and they think they've escaped, and now they send another stylist in. That stylist is a handler. They send in this person, that person's a handler. They send in the manager, that person's a handler. Like, and you can just see people spiraling. Like, you can see why celebrities have drinking issues, they have drug issues. All of this is about being controllable. It's about being malleable. It's all the same thing. It's literally the same formula applied to different industries, and it's the same thing all the time. And this is why I constantly say, and I try to be liberal in saying, you know, I know that talking about spell work and the occult and stuff like that is not going to be things that people are going to readily want to believe. And I always say, like, you don't have to believe in God and you don't have to believe in what I believe in, but to be honest with you, you're not getting out of this without believing in God. You're not getting out of this without divine protection. Call it whatever you want. They take down Muslims, Christians, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, easily, with the same force, with the same speed. The Holy Spirit, like, you need a real relationship with God. Like, I mean, a dedicated discipline. Forget church. The pastors in the church are recruiting. What are you talking about? a girl tried to handle me in my neighborhood, try to be my handler. I guess they let them know that there's a live one in the neighborhood. We went to church. The first time I met up with her, we went to her church. She was on the pulpit helping. What do you mean? And the whole time she's a recruiter. They're everywhere in the spiritual community. The readers, a lot of the people reading the cards are, you got to have so much discernment in what readers you're listening to, because the readers are tapped into something, but it's not what I'm tapped into. It's not of the light. It's something, but it's not of the light. And I don't even know if they really even know what they're getting messages from, half of them. But they infiltrate every community. Their job, their mandate is to be in every community, to have their hand in every pot. And people just spiritually do not understand what this is. So let's put it this way. You know, and this was the last story that I had to tell. There was another girl who approached me, and she's coming with the Cali Columbia talk. They have no lows that they won't go to. This girl is supposedly an auntie or a friend of the parent who's a friend of my daughter. Now, my God. And I liked this little girl. She was a cute little girl. And she's a smart little girl. And, you know, she's friends with my daughter. She sleeps over. The parents are all concerned and whatever. So, you know, it seemed fine. And then, can you go drop her off at her auntie's house? I talked to the so-called auntie. And here's what I'm observing. You want to go for a gelato? Sure, why not? You know, you try to bond with people, or at least try to understand people who are friends with your child, right? Because you want to know what kind of people these people are. So we go for the gelato, and she's trying to support this one business, and she's all like, just make sure you guys like find someone for me when you guys go to Italy. Make sure you guys find a little a traditional Italian guy, whatever, whatever, blah blah blah. But it's like the way she's saying this is she's very serious. Like it's not like a joke, like, hey, find me a little guy or whatever. She's like, for real, like she really means this. Like she wants them to find her someone. I would say she's maybe like late 30s, I would say. And gang stalkers tend to have two faces. There's a nice little cute face that they give you, the friendly love bombing face, and then there's the other face that changes real quick and gets real dark when that dark energy comes over them and they only see money. And anyway, so I'm thinking to myself, this girl's for real. So I start a conversation with her, and I was like, it's time to get married, or am I right? And she's like going on about like the past relationships she's had and the kind of guys that have tried to, and it's like the people she's talking to, it's like that's one thing I notice about them. There's no loyalty in these circles. There's no real love. Like these people could care less about each other. Like if one of them passes away, like I don't know how packed the funeral will be. I'm not exaggerating by saying that. I'm saying they're surface level relationships. There on purpose is no loyalty. Like these people do not care about each other. They compete with each other, who has the nicer car, the nicer clothes, the nicer this, the nicer that. It's a constant, it's toxic. It's like a toxic environment. So she's telling this to the people at the restaurant, the owners, and they're just kind of looking at her like, yeah, okay, whatever, get out of my face type of energy. And she leaves, and I'm having this conversation with her. So by the time she gets to the point of like trying to gaslight me, because they have their little things that they do that they have to do, where it's like they take these people and they train these people on how to be manipulative to people and how to gaslight people. So it's like, so do you talk to your neighbors? Do they like you? And you're like, no, I don't talk to my neighbors. They're like, so, and they know what to say because they've been given your file. So let's say they say, so do you do this? And you're like, no. And they're like, it's like, I want you to know that I know things about you. And they train them to do that. So this is one of their masks. One of their masks is like, I'm onto you. We're watching you. We're a secret society. Da 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 da. And then she's still going on about, well, I travel to Cali, Colombia sometimes. And I looked at her and I said to her, you're in something that you can never get out of. Boom, mask falls. Because this is the reality that she lives with. Because under that mask, they go home and they have anxiety attacks in the washroom. They go home and they look at their life and they know their life is not in their control at all. Nothing is in their control. You can get a call at 4 a.m. telling you get out of bed and go over here and go stand outside someone's door and go wait to see if someone's coming out. And it might take you an hour of waiting in that cold to see somebody walk by, just to see somebody walk by and report back. Whatever it is, you're at their beck and call. If you don't do it, and this is for life. This is not, after a certain time I could leave. This is like you're entering the grave. Like you're dying out of that contract. Physical death, old age. When they exhausted all their people, it was old people coming in. Men that were dragging their feet, old men in their 80s, still have to go to work. So imagine that. This is for life. People don't get that until they're 18 years in, still doing the same thing. People don't get that. And it's easier to just stay and just say to yourself, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and kind of looking at all this time you've invested for no reason. What are you getting out of it? You can't have love for sure, because like I said, any decent woman is going to look at this situation and say, this is not sustainable. Like, this is not something I want to be a part of. Who's going to want to marry and have children in these type of situations, these type of hostile environments? So they know that they have to get these women away from you. When it's true love, when you guys truly love each other, they have to beat that woman out of your life, because the love is going to hold her to abusive behavior until she gets it out of her system, and until, like, it's going to be hard. It's hard to separate people who love each other. They have to gang stalk. They have to harass. They have to make you lose something. They have to make it, in my situation, they have to make it be that you're going to lose everything you want or you love, your passion, your job, your health. If I had young children, they would be at risk. I would just have to fall in line. I would just have to listen, because you know what? Maybe it's not worth it. And you know, in a situation, in a normal woman's mind, she'd be like, look at what this guy's done to my life. This guy came to my life. He destroyed my life. Look at how my life was before, etc., etc. And not all of that is the trap. All of that is the trap. Now, the next guy you date is going to be completely orchestrated, because you're going to be single long enough. You're going to get on a dating site, and the next guy you date, it's going to be completely orchestrated. He's going to come in. He's going to mimic the behavior of the last one. He's not going to be the last one. Now you're going to be in an abusive situation. Now you're going to be in a situation where you're falling in line. Now your life is not your own. You can be in, just not with him. Just not in a loving situation, because they know they lose people to real love. And on top of it, the contract that they have on you, that contract is broken through real love, not just like people who are having, again, what I call transactional relationships. Genuine love will fight for you. Genuine love will die for you. Genuine love will wait for you. Genuine love is understanding, and they know that. So they don't want people to have those situations. They don't want people to be in situations where two people are willing to fight this thing together. Imagine two people who love each other in a house together, looking at each other like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we doing this? They need one of these people to handle the other person. That's the ideal situation. Now, it's obviously, I don't know how people haven't drawn these parallels. This is obvious to me. I don't know how people never figure. I guess maybe they have to get somebody to a point where they don't believe in genuine love anymore. They have to get the guy, or well, in my situation, I'm gonna call it's a guy for me because I'm a woman, but it's like they have to get you to a point where the guy runs away from you because he himself is being gang stalked. He doesn't even know you're being gang stalked. They have to get him to a point where he's shooing you away for what he believes is your own safety. He's speaking to you in a consistently, what would appear to be an abusive manner, because he's trying to, for your own safety, get you away from him. Himself is going through something. You guys are not either one of you communicating what's going on. They're keeping you two physically apart by monitoring your every move, your every activity. And so it's like, now you become dejected. Now you just don't believe in love anymore. Now you accept what you accept. So it's like you're accepting of transactional relationships. And when you do find true love, they don't necessarily just gang stalk you out of it. It's like things happen. Things start occurring. You guys start having like arguments out of nowhere. His money starts getting affected where he can't make money. And then you guys have money problems. And then if it's not money problems, then it's like they're sending women towards him. Women that they figure every man would want. Women with enhancements, women who behave certain ways. And if one woman doesn't work, then maybe they're going to send him two women at once. Maybe they're going to try to get him into certain situations. Whatever the case is, most men succumb to this. So now there's cheating. Now there's heartbreak. When you really truly love someone, that heartbreak is difficult. It's enormously difficult. It's not just pride. It's not just ego. It hurts. And that's the point that they want you at. So, all in all, I'm going to post this video, obviously. Really what is being removed from you is hope for the future. It's a situation where you can finally relax, when you can have complete fulfillment. Okay? So if you look at emotional fulfillment, and I always go back to tarot because it's such a good example. It's what you would call 10 of cups. It's like all of the cups are filled. It's perfect alignment. It's having the great job that makes good money, having happy, healthy, beautiful children, having love that's really whole and complete, having a life where you feel free, you feel hopeful, having a work-life balance, not just constantly work, not having a gun to your head, having peace, having safety. And when people think of a 10 of Cups, it doesn't necessarily mean having a lot of money. It doesn't mean having a wife who looks perfect. You don't even need that. It's having a sense of loyalty, of truly being loved, of truly being cared for, of somebody who's going to be there for you. That's what you don't get to have. And that's what they avoid people having. So what they do is they look at, it's like almost looking at the 10 of Cups and turning it into the 10 of Swords. For every cup that comes, there's a sword. So getting the complete inverse of whatever you want. Instead of having true love, you have karmic love. Instead of having money that's sustainable that you can build upon, you have money that's fickle, money that can evaporate very easily, money that it doesn't take a lot to drain out of your pocket. They always pocket watch, they always know how much you have, and they always have a plan to get rid of the money out of your pocket. So let me tell you, you could stay in this for however long, and it could take you however long it wants to take you, and you could save however much money you want, and they could drain that money out of your pocket extremely quickly. Because the means by which you made that money, it's drug money. That's how blood money, I call it. That's how blood money works. Blood money is not stable. Blood money wasn't made off of proper means. That money disappears very quickly. They know that. They know that. It's fickle money. Yeah, you can carry how much hundreds of millions of it on a plane, and then you'll turn around and all of that money could be gone in a heartbeat. You constantly need to have some way of constantly sustaining this thing. This thing is weird. It's like, I call blood money kind of like monopoly money or like fictitious money. It's like wand money, Here today, gone tomorrow. It doesn't matter how much of it like you have of it. It's not like equity. It's not like, it's like they could drain it out of you very, very quickly. And it's very susceptible to doing that. And it's like they can control you with it. I don't know how best to explain it. Maybe one day I'll do a post just on that, just to explain it so people like really get it. But I say all of this to say, I think people should analyze what they're into. It's not my job I don't know if it's my job to tell people to leave this situation or not, but I think everybody in there, besides like maybe people who've just gotten in, I'm sure it's fun, and it's like I'm sure the first year, maybe two, looks fun, because then you see these girls traveling all over the place and they're having fun and they have the friends and they have the girls trips and whatever. And then very soon, to me, it looks like a lot of solo travel vlogs, solo travel influencers, solo travel this, solo travel that. And then it becomes a lonely journey and a lonely life. And I don't even think they speak openly to each other. Everybody watches everybody else. Everybody's there to spy on everybody else. Nobody's close. And when things happen, it's like the person who's closest to you, who you felt was a brother, or who you felt was a sister, the person who trauma bonded to you, who's handling you, that's the person who's the one who opened their mouth, who said something. That was your handler the whole time. So I'm very grateful that I'm not a part of this nonsense. This is crazy. I don't know what money makes it worth it to have this. I could tell you all of the things you gain in those situations, they can just start draining your income like this, like this, like this. It's one decision, and then it's spell work, and then the money starts coming down, and all of those things that you gain, they become nooses around your neck. The $5 million house that costs you, 38 grand a month, it's now a noose, because where are you coming up with it? Now all that money you had sitting down, it's draining really fast, because these are big bills. All of these things that you have, All of these fancy things, all of these fancy cars, all of these courtside tickets, all of these designer this and that, it means nothing when you're getting gang stalked. How comfortable is the ride in a Rolls Royce when cars are following you all over the place and the little hunters come out? How comfortable is the car when you keep looking out of your window at night, when you keep looking around? This is not when you're thinking of like, should I get weapons? Should I bolt up my doors? Like, what should I do? How comfortable is that lifestyle? This is why I make those videos. So like I said, and people know better. Like, I mean, come on. People know better. They're enduring this lifestyle, but they don't figure out what they're in until long after. They don't figure out what they're in. My cycle of gang stalking is done no matter what Brazil thinks and no matter what Brazil wants. My cycle is done. And that's the thing. In I'm going to spend the last couple minutes on this topic. I always talk about, the reason that I survive this, and, my protection comes from the Most High. It comes from, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Mother is directly with me on this journey. And I had to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, walk through the gang stalking to see exactly what it is, to have an appreciation of what it is that people are going through, what lives they're living. I was not very naive before this. I will not lie. Like, this to me looked like something out of a movie. This was not serious. Like, this is something that you'd watch on a movie and be like, you couldn't even relate to how terrifying it is from a movie because you don't think it's real. But having gone through it and having the protection that I have, it's enviable. I know it is. And you would think to yourself, why isn't everybody else doing this? Like, how comes other people are not tapping into this energy? Because it's free for everyone to tap into this. Perhaps they don't know. Perhaps they don't believe in it. Perhaps you lose your faith in God when you see this kind of stuff occur. And you're thinking, how can this happen? How can God allow this to happen? No one's ever survived it. I've never seen anybody that's lived to tell the story. I don't know what it is necessarily. I'm surmising. But for me, I just kind of think to myself, I don't want anybody to think that this is some type of genie in a lamp. These relationships are built on love, pure, genuine love, both ways, from the Holy Spirit to you and from you to the Holy Spirit. This is genuine love. And as I've said before, love is a kind of relationship that makes you extremely loyal, extremely dedicated. You would give your life for someone that you love. And so it's no different in my relationship with the Holy Spirit. Why would I come on here and speak so aggressively to people or entities or organizations that other people are afraid of? It's because I'm more afraid of being disloyal to the Holy Spirit, of being an embarrassment to the Holy Spirit, that I'm a representative, that I'm speaking on behalf of the Holy Spirit, and that I would fold, and that I would be afraid, and that I would not deliver the messages that I feel compelled to deliver. That is worse to me, to disappoint the Holy Spirit, than to gain the respect of people, or to gain the respect to, they tried to say, like, the way that I'm talking or whatever. I'm sure people are like dismissing it, like, oh, she's crazy and who speaks like that and da da da. But they know there's a reason they can't stop. They can't stop me. They already did everything they could, everything they're allowed to anyway. Where are they now? What are they going through? They suffer in silence. I talked about appearances yesterday. People cannot suffer publicly because then they would lose respect. Then they would lose the facade. Because behind the curtain of the big, bad, scary wolf is a very insecure person who's a coward, manipulating and creating illusions for people to be afraid of them. Would they do any of those things that they threaten to do? Absolutely not, because they're picking up regular human beings off of the street to gang stalk you. The minute you approach one of them, they're afraid. Including John Ferrer himself. He's the biggest coward. That fucker is always scared. He's always scared. I'm telling you that right now. So, for me, I just say, when approaching relationships with the Holy Spirit and wanting protection, this is not... Everything spiritually works on a contractual basis. Because to be honest with you, nobody trusts human beings, and nobody should. We are fickle entities. We don't operate the same. We don't. So there's a reason why God always tests people. There's a reason why it's like even darker entities do not expect much from human beings at all. Nobody does. I've concluded gang stalking, and I am the same place where I've always been with people. Nothing changed. I can't say I hate people, because I don't. People are really interesting to me. I can't say that I hate people, but I'm the same place as I always was. People are nice in small doses. As soon as you start getting closer to them, their little entities start acting up. Here comes the competition, the jealousy, the insecurity. All of the little things start rearing their head, and they get exhausting. They get draining to deal with. And as far as trust goes, you don't need trust in human relationships. You just need a gauge of like, how far can I predict their behavior? Other than that, it's like, why is trust in the conversation? There's no point in trusting people. There's no point in like playing these games with yourself. So for me personally, when it comes to human beings, I'm the same place as I started off with them. There has been no change in how I see people. I just don't see the need for the trust or the not trust or the like or the don't like. I just kind of see them as like they are who they are. It's like a dog. If it's hungry, it'll bite you. If it's fed, it'll be okay. Simple. And Spirit sees human beings as the same way. But relationships with the Holy Spirit are not contractual. It's based on loyalty. It's not based on well, if I do this, you're going to do that. If I come and I do this, then I'll get this reward or this blessing or this prize. That's not how it works. People that are in line with the Holy Spirit are in line because they love the Holy Spirit. Like, God's people by number may be less, but they're solid. They're loyal to the core. This has nothing to do. That's why you see real spiritual people they're not always rich. Like they're usually half the time they're struggling. Nobody does this because they're going to be rich. Nobody does this because they're going to turn around and get cars and whatever. Lower entities have to buy your loyalty because they have nothing real to offer. There's nothing else to offer but to give you money. There's no love. There's no loyalty. There's no protection. It's smoke and mirrors, and it's money. As soon as you're in and that contract is signed, now you get to work and go recruit some more people. Bring me fresh energy supply. That's all it's about. They need energy to consume. And if you don't, they'll consume you. They'll consume everything good out of your life. And if they've taken everything good, then they take you. Your health starts depleting. Your relationships start depleting. You lose everything. You die alone. It's like they will take everything from you. These entities. This is how it works. This is what's happening with John Ferreira right now. He made a deal, and the deal was to get me in, and he couldn't make good on that. Overpromised and underdelivered. The money fooled him. He knew damn well this was a mission impossible. He knew damn well. Why? Because he's spiritual, or he's an occultist. He can see. He knew the protection was there. The protection was busting his ass. He knew. But he made a deal, and he had to just do what he had to do, and desperate times continued to call for desperate measures the entire time. So what was he going to do? Didn't care who he had to hurt, who he had to bind, who he had to put in any situation. He just had to do what he had to do. So hence he found himself in he finds himself in the situation that he is in, where all 10 cups are empty. Health is negative. The health cup has spilled over. Health is no longer. Money cup has spilled over. Y'all, let me see if I could find. I really wish that people would. Let me see if I could find the cup. If it's meant to be, I'll find the card that depicts what it looks like when the money is gone. Actually, this is not a good card. In tarot, I always tell you guys the fives. The fives depict losses. It depicts like change, but change is always hurtful. Okay, so this is a 5 of cups. You can see where there's cups spilt over on the ground and there's someone crying because more cups have spilled than are in the upright. That's what it looks like. But the situation where it looks like where your money is gone, it's so crazy. I like the traditional tarot decks because I like what the cards look like and they're so symbolic. This is what it looks like. This is when you're in what they would call the 5 of Pentacles, sort of. Do you see somebody is beat up? Do you see their health? Do you see they're in the snow barefoot, walking outside of what looks like a cathedral with the lights? This is complete poverty. His card comes out like this. That's like rock bottom. That's like when the poverty is in like an extreme situation. That's like homelessness. That's like no hope, no resources, no money coming in, no job, no help. All the cups have spilt over. That is what happens as you continue to be in a contract that you cannot fulfill your end with entities that you cannot fill it for. Like you can't do what you were supposed to do. That's what it looks like. Now, there's definitely gonna have to be more situations where, or more videos where I explain this stuff more, because I don't think this stuff is gonna be like easy for people to grasp right away, because I think the average person is just not understanding what they're into. They see it very surface level. I do this, I get that, but I'm not allowed to do this. And they don't see the spiritual ramifications of this. If and when said individual decides that they are going to talk to God about this situation, that they're ready to have a relationship with God, these people are not, I would not advise going into this situation as I want to enter this relationship to just get me out of this situation. And now that the sun is out and I'm out of the situation, well, thank you, but I'm not gonna be praying this many times a day anymore, and I'm not gonna do this. This is the same type of contract as you're in. This is lifelong. This is lifelong. It's the same type of spiritual contract. And at least God is upfront about that. If you want to backslide and you want to, there's people who leave the church and who leave who leave spirituality all the time, and they fall and they go in other directions, but you lose all the blessings that you gained in that contract as well. It's like anything else. That contract comes with love. That contract comes with protection. That contract comes with peace. That contract comes with free will. That contract comes with comforts that are not easily taken out of your hands. That's how that contract comes with. God does not let you down. Okay? They come and get you. You see how persistent gang stalkers are? Like, they'll gang stalk you for 3 years straight. Like, if not for the protection of God, they'd still be gang stalking me right now. Don't think it's not because they don't want to. They will make people walk up and down every place that they think that I'm going to go to when I'm not there. So if I happen upon one of those places, they're like, okay, she's here right now. And it's like, Avengers Unite. They get on that phone, Avengers Unite, she's over here. It's not because they don't want to. It's because when the cycle is closed, the cycle is closed. There's nothing you can do about the cycle being closed, because that's what God said. God said this was the time. So it's like God does not, so it's like as persistent as gang stalkers are with doing their job, because they have entities riding them and they have contracts that they have to fulfill, and it's either them or you. That's how God comes to come get you out of situations, whether it's your fault or not. And I explained it in another video that I ended up taking down. It's like being an American citizen. As much as people say Americans are this and that, when Canadians, let a Canadian get stuck in Russia, you'll die in that Russian prison. They'll criticize Trudeau all they want. He won't come get you. But let an American be in a Russian prison. They start negotiating. The president gets on the plane, no matter who you are. They get on the plane and they go over there. And they start negotiating on your behalf, and they're asking for you to come home. What can they offer? And they're getting the Secret Service to put you on a jet and to bring you back home. Now, how much money do you think that costed taxpayers to do that? But no man left behind. And if they killed you, they would come in to come get your dead body, because you need to what? Be buried on American soil. That's what it's like having God's protection. Why do you think I could come on camera and say, "What up, Brazil," and roll my eyes and not care? Because I know what's backing me. They know what's backing me too. They're getting their ass rocked over there. They know that. They're not going to tell you that. All L's must be hidden. They're going to hide all their L's, but they want to publicize yours. They're going to hide all their L's. People aren't going to tell you they're on death's doorstep. They're not going to tell you that they're sick. I'm going to tell you none of that. The cards will. The readers will. People know what's going on. But they're not going to publicize that, because that weakens their position. But at the end of the day, it's the same. It's the same thing. You know, when you're in God's army, no man left behind. And they don't want you to know that. It's more than worth it. It's more than worth it. I knew God was not gonna, I knew anything that God allows to happen is for good reason. But I knew I was not gonna succumb to this situation. I just knew. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And God was telling me, like, there's no way. There's no way. And it's like, am I gonna put myself at odds regardless? I'm not gonna say I'm terrified in the way of like, because this is a very loving relationship, but I'm gonna tell you, I would never go against God. Like, people don't understand. Like spirit doesn't need sleep. Mother doesn't need to eat. They don't need rest. It's not like they're one place at one time. They're everywhere at all times. You want me to go against a presence like that? Like, people are fighting God right now after God spoke very clearly on what the expectation is to like leave this person alone. God said that clearly for an entire year, and people thought they were gonna fight God. That is wild. I don't care what entity you're working with. I do not care. People thought they were, it's like more than 10 swords in their back. People have like multiple illnesses. It's like, it's torturous. Is torturous. Like, if you have any sort of like spiritual abilities and you ever tap into people's energy, it's like you got to get the hell out of that energy quick. Scary. Lost their mind completely. Scary. Like, think about it. So like you're a gang stalker. You have a gang stalking company. Things have been good this whole time. And the one case that messes up is not some corporate client. It's the cartel. That's the client that you have been lying to cover your ass. That's the client where of all of them. That's, even that by itself alone is a problem. Without my protection on their ass, that's a problem. And once you see you can't fulfill these kind of contracts, all of a sudden things are not going great in your life. You know, a lot of police visits, a lot of monitoring, a lot of weird things start happening. All of a sudden you're falling sick every day. It's a new sword every day. 1 sword, 2 sword, 3 swords, 4. Y'all want me to choose that side over what I got going on over here? Crazy. Those are the last entities that you want to be at odds with. God is patient. Feline energy is weird. You ever see cats hunt something? They're not even hungry and they hunt. And then they play with it in their paws and they let it run away a little bit and they put their paws down on it lightly again. And then it wiggles, it's terrified. They let it go again, they chase it and they hold it and they watch it. That's how I see people going down in slow motion. And it's this illusion that like, I can get away. If only I could just do this. If only I could just take that girl down and get her in, I'll be okay. It's a slow kill. Spirit is known for slow kills because if you think God can't just flip your car over on the highway and call it a day? You think they gotta make death follow you every day for months? You think they gotta get you in that big car accident, get you to almost commit suicide, they take you to the hospital, you get some mental health services, you come home, get you to almost fall off this, get you to do this? You think they have to haunt you? You think they have to? Why you think are you living like that? That's crazy stuff. And it's like, yo, they're sending the message loud and clear. And they did all 2023 and people were not listening. All 2023 and nobody was listening. People were making it worse. You know, what can I say? The most I can do is just, and listen, when these messages are in my heart to come up and do this live, like, I can't relax until I do the live. Like, I can't eat. I feel bothered. I can't do my work. Like, I'm blocked. I'm blocked until I get up here and I do it. And I kid you not, as soon as the live is done, there comes my appetite. There comes the ease. I'm relaxed again. I could go do what I have to do. Nobody's exempt. But I wouldn't approach the throne if you know you don't have a loyal heart. The fall from grace is way worse than just staying where you are. So if you know you're one of those people that you're fickle, or you know that you're going to get whatever and then you're going to be like, oh, okay, well, you know, I'm good. Everybody has a job. This is how spiritual contracts work. Everybody has a job. This is how it works. One comes with a 10 of cups. The other comes with a 10 of swords. That's it. That's just that simple. Both of them work the same. When I say you have to die out of the contract, I think with those people, you definitely really do have to physically die out of it. Unless you have, like I said, mother to come break you out, to come bail you. All while I'm talking to you guys right now, I'm getting spiritual attacked. The whole time. The whole time. There's a cost to even giving these messages. People don't want this stuff out there. People don't want people thinking for themselves. People don't want people saying like, whoa. If what she's saying is true, how come she's walking around like this? How come she's speaking against those people? Like, how come she's not dead yet? They don't want people thinking for themselves. They've survived for a long time without these messages getting out. They've survived for a long time on secrecy. I want to send some encouragement to anybody going through a difficult time or having gone through a difficult time. I have faced the exact same patterns of attacks that you guys have gone through, whether it's people wishing mental health issues on you, poverty on you, sickness on you, old age on, or prematurely aging, or everything you could think of, Okay, I've been shielded from it. I've been shielded from it with divine intervention. I've been guided out of that situation. The same energy that lets me know what's going on there is the same energy that guided me out, is the same energy that's pushing me to let you guys know what's going on. If you have not considered yet that this is something that you want to leave, take a look at your life. I don't know everybody's life, but I don't think it's going swimmingly at all. Don't think so. At all. It's an organization that is starving, that is facing death, famine, fighting, discord, and everything else. It's not a good situation right now. People are low-key panicking, if not high-key panicking. 2024 is just not, I just don't see it being a good year, whether it's advertised or not. But, you know, Don't enter these kind of contracts in the same way. One second. As thinking that this is gonna be a contract where it's like, or it's gonna be like I get help and then I get to leave. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. It's a contract where you're gonna have to spiritually die out of it. You're gonna lose all of the blessings that were in your life. You're gonna fall from grace, and you're gonna be left in these type of situations. So like I said, God's always there. God's there for all of us. The Holy Spirit is constantly here for us. And I know it's boring for people who feel they're not really going through anything. So it's like talking about God is like kind of boring. It's kind of like whatever. Listen, talking about God doesn't get boring when you start suffering. Talking about God does not get boring when shit gets really real and it hits the fan. When you're wondering about, you know, how are you buying groceries this week? How are you paying for bills next week? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? When people start following you all over, believe me, you'll get up and you'll read the Bible. Believe me, you'll search for answers. And by that time, it's too late. So if you're so lucky as you're not facing anything yet, I would still recommend trying to find God now. And, you know, if you are in a situation, like I always say, who am I to say personally? Who am I to tell people, like, you're going to face your karma one way or the other? Good people have karma to pay. Karmic debt is something that travels through lifetimes. Karmic debt is something that falls from generation to generation. So you're carrying, everybody's born with karmic debt. So you're going to have to pay out one way or the other. But if you want to break out of this contract, the only way you're breaking out of that is you really need a relationship with God. I'm not talking about institutional. I'm talking about personal. Every time I say that, there's an attack on me. They do not, like, that will shield you from the attacks. And the last thing I'm going to say, because I'm going to let it go because I didn't want it to be this long. These people are working on you guys spiritually. They don't get you to participate in this stuff just by asking you and you agreeing. It's not just money alone. They're working on people spiritually. They're casting a lot of illusions, a lot of spell work on the very people that they work with. These people have no loyalty. How can there be loyalty with thieves? So by me telling people, y'all don't know what I go through after I post these lives. You know what, if anybody follows tarot readers, you should hear how much spiritual attacks that tarot readers go through. That's just the life of a tarot reader. You're going to go through a lot. But it's like me telling people, and just to give you a quick thing. So me telling people, sage your house. Because they send things to people. They put entities on people. Oh, I was going through suicidal time and he came and he helped me through it. They sent that energy of suicide to you. This is all orchestrated. It was all planned. They sent that energy of suicide. They send the energy of lustfulness to your spouse. And then they go send the girl to come sleep with him. To get him back in line and back on the plane. Because when he's under that love that you have with him, he doesn't see why he would want to get up and go deal with that crap again. To get back in that world, your love puts him in a new world. He's obviously gonna like that one better. So at the end of the day, I would just say, look, I don't know. It's not gonna be an easy thing because they don't want people to know that. But when you sage your home and you clean your home of the energy that people send to you, the energy is returning back where it was supposed to go. And if I was the one sending the energy to people, like it's been rumored, I guess, that I'm the one working on people and people are suffering all the karma because of me. If I was the one who sent it, I would definitely not give you advice to sage your home because it would come back to me very quickly. When you clean out your home of whatever energy that's been sent towards you, when you dodge whatever illness has been sent towards you, by spiritually, like taking those baths and cleaning off your body and it doesn't hit you properly, when you do all of that, it has to go back to the people who've sent it. And then you start noticing somebody sends you dark energy and you have no idea who sends it, and your best friend falls sick with the same thing that you were falling sick with. That's how you know. That's how you know who it is. That's how you even know what they sent you. I didn't know these people were sending all that kind of stuff. Had no idea. It's not like the energy has its name written on it. There's different types. You could tell different types what it is, but it's not like you know exactly what it is. You could tell some things are health. You could tell some things are mental. You can tell some things are financial or chaos or whatever. Like you could tell some of that, but you can't tell exactly what it is. Then you start seeing the shit they're going through. You're like, God damn, it was that serious for you? So when you guys start cleaning out your home, you're going to start seeing fallout. And then you're going to know who the people are that are sending dirty energy to you. And that is not something people want me to say or want me to know. That's how it works. If it doesn't hit the target, it must go back. You can't, only God can extinguish energy. Only God can burn energy. Nothing else can get rid of energy. Only God can burn energy, can extinguish energy. So I think I've said what I've said for today. I don't know what I'll call this video because it's been a couple topics. Thank you for joining my live, and do check out the videos. And oh my God, I should have pinned the name of it. But anyways, I try to keep it in my story. The name of my YouTube is God's Way, God's with the space way 1019. Check it out. Do subscribe, like, because it'll help me with the algorithm, kind of get my messages out there to more people. And feel free to leave a comment. I know a lot of people just want the information, they don't want to be detected, and that's fine as well. But yeah, thank you and have a great day.